all sorts of other European dances as well.
Sada, there were two dance institutes. They should teach people dancing, ballroom dancing, or whichever new dance was the craze in the UK.
In the 50s, I believe, they used to have dance competitions and in clubs, etc. But we had a big Anglo-Indian community in those days. So they were into dancing and they really knew how to. And these events centered around the railway club because somehow the Anglo-Indians were mostly employed with the railway. This was the legacy of the British somehow. 60s was a dress-up time. It was so artificial. But even the guys, if we went out, everybody wore suits.
Dinner jackets, smoking jackets. People, you know, how would you say, money has a way of showing itself, you know, so the bottles that you kept on the table also reflected what your social status was and your dress accordingly. But Western fashion, certainly, it was almost 100% Western. I don't think you were allowed in with the shalwar kameez.
In the 70s, the Awami look came in. And suddenly, men or boys of our age was wearing shalwar kameez. But if we went out in the evenings, men wouldn't mind wearing frilly shirt with bow ties and pointed toe shoes. Possibly this was the effect of the groups like the Beatles, for example.
One of my wife's uncle used to work in the airport, you know. He used to work at Caltex there, and he was there, you know, refueling the plane those days, and he saw the Beatles, you know. And I gave him a picture. He said they're coming, and I gave him a picture of the Beatles those days, small, and he got it, you know, autographed by them.
Come on, baby, traveling on that sea. Come on, once, you gotta move twice. Come on, baby, don't you be my side. Got me coming on the 1 out to 909. Yeah, pack my bag, right to the station, lay my things. You got to walk through gates, pack my bag. Come on, ride. Come on, y'all. I got the number wrong. Baby, coming on the 1 out to 909. Yeah, come on, baby, traveling on that line. You gotta move once, twice. Come on, baby, don't you be my side. Got me coming on the 1 out to 909.
Twiggy was the fashion icon. So there she was in her tiny skirts, very thin, huge swan-like eyes with accentuated mascara eyelashes, sometimes with diamantes stuck on them. It was quite common to go out with fake lashes and a wig. People had a collection of wigs.
Women were everywhere. In fact, there was no safety issue for anybody to go out anywhere for the longest time. People went out till late at night, even for like midnight mass for Christians at Christmas time was a big thing, and lots of non-Christians used to go to the church as well.
We had a very pluralistic society. When I was in school, we had Parsis, Hindus, Christians, Muslims of all different sects. I mean, we didn't know who was what and whatever, nothing. We had people from all income brackets. You had very, very rich kids, you had middle class kids, you had kids from mixed marriages. So because of that, it was a much more tolerant society.
My father was working with in a school. He was a peon. The lady who was the principal of that, she was a Parsi lady, married a Muslim, you know, and she happened to develop a liking for me, and she asked my father to put me in the school, you know, and she said she'll take care of everything. That's how it started, my new life. She developed a feeling that I don't think even my own mother would have done, you know. It was like that. It was strange. I still feel about it. It was very strange, but so she would do anything to make me happy. And so much so that when I had to buy an organ, she sold her jewelry to buy me an organ and an amp.
At the time I grew up, the minorities had a very, I would say, elevated status in society, considering that, you know, your best schools were run by Christians and your best hospitals were run by Christians. So the Lady Dufferin, the Holy Family, the Seventh-day Adventists were all run by Christians. And then because they also then had the economic wherewithal, people went into public life as well. I remember at one time the head of the passport office in Karachi was from the Goan community.
The Parsis did a lot for this country, this city at least. I used to work for a gentleman called Mr. Jamshed Katrick. His grandfather was the mayor of Karachi. And the Kothari parade on Clifton Watership was made by him. And that is what this Baghe Ibn Qasim, what does this mean? This land was donated by a Parsi.
There were some very good bands at that time. There was one particularly good band called The Bugs, and they had all this energy and excitement that weren't coming from the traditional bands. When The Bugs came on the scene, they were not playing dance music, they were playing Beatles and Rolling Stones and really heavier stuff.
The Fateh brothers were still around. They were the brain, you know, of The Bugs.
There were these two brothers called Farooq Fateh and Mansoor Fateh. I mean, they were hippies, proper hippies. And they were very good musicians. They had extremely long hair. They would wear no shoes, right? They would wear toned jeans, which people are wearing now. Farooq used to play bass, and he had a bass guitar that he made himself. And on his microphone, he had a packet of K2 stuck there, so it would just fit on his mouth. His brother Mansoor was the same. He used to wear a kurta and a dhoti. I never saw him wearing a pant. There was a story once, I wasn't there, but somebody said that his band, and he was very good, his band was playing in the Intercontinental and the doorman wouldn't allow him in. So he said, okay, if I don't go in, the band won't play.
The 60s music was representative of a lot of rebellion. And that rebellion, I think, came from the American war in Vietnam, the suppression of the minorities in USA, resulting in the civil rights movement. When John F. Kennedy gets assassinated, and that anger and that mood culminated again in Woodstock, New York. And there, the hippie movement sort of started. It was a time of sexual liberation. The pill was discovered. There was a change in the social consciousness and an awareness and a new political freedom. Now over here, a lot of our young graduates from the United Kingdom and the USA were returning at that time, and they brought a lot of political thought with them. At that time, a lot of the intellectual group, like also people who were in journalism, they would sit and discuss these things a lot at coffee houses and tea houses.
I get this feeling I'm in love with you. As a lover and a friend. This voice keeps whispering in my ear, the ear tells me I may never see you again. 'Cause I got a peaceful, easy feeling. I know you won't let me down. 'Cause I'm already standing.
You know where the Who came? Kabul. They came to play in Kabul at the Intercontinental. People used to go for weekends to Kabul from Pindi and Islamabad. They would go Friday night and come back Sunday night. There is only one hotel in Kabul. So when they came to play, after they had finished, so they sold their equipment and somebody brought it to Pakistan.
In the early 70s, there was a lot of hippies that used to come through from Afghanistan and come to Pakistan.
You would see them quite often. Motorcycles,